You probably already know that after the pandemic, over 22% more of Californians are moving into Utah. But not only Californians. The first top 3 states that are, of the inflow migration into the state of Utah are actually number 1, California, number 2 is Arizona, and number 3 specifically for Salt Lake City, and that's actually Texas. Now, what you may not know is about 4,500 Californians are moving specifically to Salt Lake City, Utah. And actually about 2,500 Utahns, citizens of Salt Lake City, are moving to California. So what are those people who used to live in Salt Lake City but now moving to California? What do they know that you might need to know in order to make the most informed decision, about moving to Salt Lake City, Utah? Let's find out. And super quickly, I'm Anya Bartholomew, your Utah local real estate agent. And if you're buying, selling, or relocating to Utah, well, I'd love to be a resource for you. And my information is below. You can call me, contact me, text me. I'll fulfill my reason for being. First and mostly, if you're moving from one state to another state, you must be asking yourself a question: which states are the most financially stable? Well, you'll be glad to know that Utah is ranked within the top 5 most financially stable states in the United States. And Utah is also ranked as one of the top states overall performance, the best state to live in the United States. Important, isn't it? However, Utah ranks as the number 44 out of 50 for income disparity, along with Idaho, which is actually 41. Even though the cost of living in California is 32% higher than the cost of living in Utah, income disparity is something to consider seriously. Now, the next one is actually political diversity. Well, in California, it's a blue state. Utah is a red state. In fact, it's as red can get. There are very, very many cases in elections where Utah voted the most conservative out of the entire nation, so something to be seriously considered. And along those lines, actually, because there is such a high percentage of population that are LDS, Latter-day Saints, Mormons, well, the church, the borderline between the political governance and the church control is actually, you decide. And on that note, something that's really important to know is Salt Lake City is actually the most diverse, and of course, obviously Park Cities as well. So if you want the most political diversity that you can get in the state of Utah, Salt Lake City County is much more diverse than Utah County, which is considered to be the most conservative. Therefore, Salt Lake City and other counties are quite significantly different in political culture. So number 3, housing affordability. Now, the average cost of owning a home, buying a home in Salt Lake City is, as of right now, $562,000, right? And so how much income do you really need to make in order to qualify for this kind of a home, with a loan? Well, we know that the average income, needs to be 2.5 to 3 times higher than the monthly payment, and therefore the estimated income needed for such a housing is actually between $163,000 to $200,000. Now, the city in the U.S. that most people are moving out from is actually San Francisco, and the state into which most people move in is actually Utah. Interesting, isn't it? So the previous, bullet point brought us to the problem of homelessness. That's something they need to be aware that Utah is developing a chronic homeless problem. Right now, we're at about 4%, and that number is growing as compared to San Francisco, for example. That's almost over 30%. Number 5, you probably want to know that Salt Lake City has lots of students, right? Some people like it, some don't, but something to be aware of. We have 10 colleges here in the state, in Salt Lake City, and within 50 miles, there are actually 36 of those nearby, with an average of 185,000 students, living in Salt Lake City at any given point. So if that's a consideration for you, you may want to reconsider. Number 6, talking about students. Well, most students cannot afford to buy a home. So how about renting? Well, the laws in the tenant, landlord laws in Salt Lake City are actually super conservative. It means there is no such a thing as a rent control. And it also means that the landlord, after the expiration of the lease, can rise the prices whatever amount they want. It can be 100%, can be 30%. There is absolutely no limit. The landlord cannot raise any prices during the term of the lease. However, once the lease is expired, it's actually going to be a gamble. And with the growing prices of homes, the rent is growing up very, very, very rapidly. Big consideration. The next point is to consider very seriously is actually weather. Well, California is known for its amazing weather. My friend who lives in California is always, it's 65 and it's below, it's not very tolerable here. So, California is a pretty spoiled weather-wise, right? So Utah is a four-season state. We are. And a huge disclaimer, we do have inversion. It used to be that we had inversion during winter. And seriously, I actually don't remember it being as bad as it is right now. But now it's really, blown and flown like right in your face. And we even have some inversion during summer. So if that's a consideration, you may want to pick your real estate location in a way that it's minimized. And that would be a wise decision. Another consideration when you're relocating to Utah is actually commute, because I lived in California and I know commute is very, very painful, and therefore you probably want to be prepared that commute in Salt Lake City, Utah County, and actually St. George as well can be quite painful as well. Maybe not quite all the way like in California, but take a look. And another disclaimer, obviously liquor laws. So, Utah is a very Mormon culture-centric community. And Salt Lake City is actually less so because, there's much more variety and diversity within Salt Lake City County and especially Park City County. However, it will probably take you a little bit of adjusting to, because, when you walk into the grocery store, you're not going to have like all those bottles of wine left and right like you do have in California. And with that in mind, I'd like to say thank you for watching. If you find this information insightful or honest or upfront and transparent, click the like button. And I post weekly updates here, so subscribe to my channel. And if you have any real estate needs, buying, selling, relocating, investing, contact me. I'll be happy to be a resource for you, and I will fulfill my reason for being.